Lovelies, my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys today. This is going to be my bonus pans video. So this is everything that I have hit pan on for the month of January that is outside any products that I'm working on in projects right now. So I have seen a few people do this with their eyeshadows at the end of their pan those eyeshadows videos, but I wanted to keep it separate, and I also want to include my face products. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to keep it separate and as its own video. I think I'm going to do this on a bi-monthly update, so the next one will be at the end of March. I mean, if I do say so myself, I did pretty good in January, but I have no idea what February is going to bring, especially since I'm going to be starting pan those eyeshadows in just over a week, which I'm super excited about. So I'm really hoping that I can actually still make really good progress on the rest of my collection as I'm working on my panning projects. So I'm thinking every 2 months doing this update, because I don't really want to do an update if I only have one extra pan in my collection. I would like to have at least 3 or more before I do one. So I'm hoping by every 2 months, it'll kind of bring me up to that point. So for now, this is just the month of January, but I'm super excited to show you guys. So I'm going to start off with my face products. I'll get into the eyeshadow pans, and then I'm going to give you guys some numbers at the end. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, I'm going to show you guys the bronzer. So on January 1st, and I'm just going to side note now, this is the only date out of all of these products that I know I actually hit pan on because it was January 1st. I was super excited. I knew it was going to be a great start to the year, and it really got me motivated to keep on panning and hope that I was going to hit more pans. Sure enough, I did. But January 1st, I hit pan on my Marc Jacobs O'Mega bronzer. This is in 104 tan-tastic, and this is just a little mini size. So I posted this on my Instagram account a little bit later, maybe a couple weeks or so. I ended up having to repress it, and eventually I actually finished it off completely. So in the photo, it is in a little magnetic palette because I do like to post my bronzer progress on my Instagram account. And since I've been mainly working on a lot of smaller bronzers, I have tended to depot them and actually put them into that magnetic palette, as I find it's just easier to use the two of them combined that way instead of reaching for the single components. So I actually took the pan and put it back into here. So this is completely done. I'm super happy about it. I've said it before, but I really do enjoy this bronzer, and a good thing because I do have a few of the full sizes, which, if you haven't heard me say before, is the bronzer that I kind of want to make my main bronzer, at least for a little bit. So I'm really happy that this bronzer is gone. Kind of makes me wonder how the full sizes are going to go, but I'm not going to worry or think about that too much now because I know it's still going to be a while before I start to reach for those ones. I do have a few other bronzers I want to get out of my collection, but I'm super happy that I'm one more down in that collection now. And just hitting that pan on January 1st gave me so much hope and joy and everything. It was so much fun. So the next product I'm going to show you is a blush, and this is by Milani. So this is their Milani Powder Blush, and this is the one with the little rose imprint. The one that I have is in 01 Romantic Rose. So when I hit pan on this, I didn't actually hit the pan because it's hollow underneath. So I created the hole in this product, and this is what it looked like. And then the little bits were kind of crumbling and falling out of it. So luckily, because it's hollow, I didn't actually lose very much of it. It kind of slid in between the product and the bottom of the pan. So this is what the product is looking like now. There is a lot of little crumbly pieces. So I do kind of want to push it all in there and then hopefully use a little bit more of this up before I repress it. I'm really hoping that after I do that, I can actually get good use on this and hopefully finish it up before the end of the year. I do think that's quite doable. The only issue that I have with this being hollow is it's really difficult to get my brush along the actual product evenly because it tends to just kind of go into the middle of the hole there, so I miss a whole bunch of product. But I feel like if I can kind of lay it out evenly over this thing, then sure enough, I'm sure I'll be able to wear away at it a little bit more. I really had no idea as to how thin the product was before I hit it, so it was very unexpected. But I was super excited about it. It totally took me by surprise that morning. and it's just kept me motivated to keep working on this. I do believe this may be one of my oldest blushes in my collection. At least maybe for my singles. I don't know about the palettes, but it is getting up there regardless, so I would love to get a lot more use on this. You may see this one down the line in a few updates, and if you do, it's going to be when it's completely empty, so stay tuned because I'm excited about that one. So those are the two face products. And now I have a couple of eyeshadows that I want to show with you guys. So first I'm going to show you the cream shade that I've been working on. And if you don't know, I like to use up a cream shade completely before I start working on the next one. So I've used up quite a few already. I do set my lids pretty much every single day, like 99.5% of the time my lids are set. Yesterday it was just setting my lids and wearing an eyeliner. That was it. So I like to just work my cream shades out that way instead of like dipping into a bunch of different palettes to set my lid. So the one that I chose most recently, I think I started working on it back in December. Must have been the end of December, I want to say, because I was working on, there was like a mauve toned cream shade in my Viseart Midsummer palette, which is the palette that I'm doing this year. So after I had finished that shade up, I reached for my Tartiest Pro palette by Tarte. This I've had for quite a while and it needed so much more love to it. So there was a shade in here, it's called Classic, and that's the one that I've been reaching for to set my lids every day since. And I really had it was a surprise when I hit pan. It was the babiest pan ever. I posted it on my Instagram account, which I'll show you the photo in just a second. And I said, you're going to have to zoom in to see it because it is tiny. But I really had no idea how long it was going to take me to hit the pan because I've heard how difficult these Tarte shadows are and how hard pressed they are. I do have a few other Tarte palettes and cream shades from Tarte that I'm curious to kind of compare all of them together and see if there's a difference or how long it's gonna take. I do believe it's either this one or the Clay Play, the original that I have. That is my oldest Tarte one. So I'm curious about those two to see how long it's gonna take to hit pan. And then my most recent one is the it's the Tartelette Toasted. So I'm curious to see that one as well compared to these. So when I hit pan on this is what she looked like. Like I said, it was the babiest, tiniest little pan ever. You had to zoom in to see it. And now look at how far she has come. I'm so close to hitting the edge here, which I'm super excited about. And I find that this shade still works really well. I think it's still like got that creaminess to it, but it is powdery as well. So it's kind of going a little bit quicker that way. I have been able to reach for this palette a little bit more, give it a little bit more love as a whole. I have no idea about the rest of the shades to see how long those are gonna take to hit pan on. I'm not too focused on that right now, but at least this cream shade I find it's going pretty quick. So I want to say it'll be a couple more months, maybe by the next update, because if I do them bi-monthly, maybe the next update it will be completely gone. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see, but I am so happy that it has that much love on it already and that much pan showing. I'm hoping that this palette will just get a lot more love in general and a few more pans in there. And last but not least, I hit pan in the shade Mars from the Viseart Warm Edit palette. Now, when I first purchased this palette from Sephora, I bought it online. So when it came in and I opened up the palette, this shade was just a crumbly mess. So there was fallout all over the palette. I actually had to take all of the shades out because they are magnetic. So I took all of the shades out, I wiped down, put them all back, but some of the shades weren't sitting properly like my other Viseart palettes were. So I actually depotted the palette into here. I do still have the original packaging, but this is what the palette looks like. So this shade here is not, this is just in place of Mars right now. This is from my Midsummer palette. It's a shade that I actually finished, which I showed you guys in my last update, so it's not a spoiler, but this is in place of Mars. So I actually put that into my Midsummer palette just because it goes with the color story like perfectly, and it's helped me get a lot more use on that shade opposed to it being like in with this color story. I probably wouldn't have gone as much use on it. So it's helping me use that palette as a whole. It's helping me use that shade up completely. So because it was a crumbly mess when I got it, there were little chunks that were falling out here and there, so it wasn't like a perfectly brand new shade. So I knew it was gonna take a lot quicker for me to hit pan on this opposed to any of the other Viseart shades that I had been working on, but I still wasn't quite sure exactly how long. So it was still a surprise when I actually hit it, and this is what it ended up looking like. So I have definitely used it quite a few times since. I'm not going to actually show you the shade. I have it sitting beside me, but it is so messy right now. So I'm going to post a photo of what it looks like now. I am going to repress this. I've never repressed a shimmer shade before, so I'm hoping that it works out really well. If you have by chance, let me know if there's a difference between repressing mattes or repressing shimmers, because I'm really curious. But I'm really hoping that after I do that, that it's going to kind of stay together a little bit more. I'm still hoping that I can get rid of it pretty quickly, but I just don't want that crumbly, fallouty mess because it's just making my palettes dirty, and yeah, it's nothing to clean them, but I would like it to stay intact a little bit. At first when I was using this shade, it wasn't really doing much, but then I actually started to spray it and it like gave me a lot of color. I really enjoyed it, but there was a lot of fallout, so I'd always have to constantly be wiping it away. I normally do my base first before my eyes. I should probably do my eyes first before my base if I'm using that shade, but I never really think about it. It's just a habit, so that's just how it is, and that's fine. I can wipe it away and it's not that big of a deal. So those are the 4 pans that I hit just in January. I'm super excited to see what the next upcoming months are going to be. I will be starting pan those eyeshadows in just over a week, which I'm super excited about. So I'm hoping that I can get still a lot of good organic use on the rest of my eyeshadows that are not in projects, because I would like to have a few more pans to show you guys at the end of March. So we're going to get into some numbers. I only have numbers for my eyeshadow palette. For my eyeshadows. I didn't do my face products. If you are interested in any numbers, like the pans compared to not pans, let me know and I will do that for my next update. But for this one, I've only included my eyeshadow palette, my eyeshadows. So what I did is I have this little notebook here, and I went through all of my eyeshadow palettes last night, and anything that had pan in it, I wrote it down. And then I marked beside it whether or not it was just pan showing in the palette or if it was a completely finished up shade. So I have a few numbers here, and I would kind of surprise myself a little bit because I was expecting it to be a lot less. It may not be huge, but for me, it's a good enough number right now. So in total, out of all of my eyeshadow palettes, I have 39 pans. And out of those 39 pans, I have 16 that are completely finished. And that kind of surprised me. I was like really happy when I found out that number. In total, that leaves 23 pans with product still in them, but some pans showing. And considering like 16 and 23 aren't incredibly far away from each other, I was pretty excited about that. That does include the 2 shades that I just showed you guys. So before the Mars and the Classic shade, I had 37 pans in total, which meant I had 21 with pan in it still. So even with those extra 2 added, I am super happy with where I'm sitting at with my makeup collection. I do have quite a few. I didn't actually like count the exact total number of eyeshadow pans in my full collection. I just did what has pans showing or what is completely finished right now. I am kind of curious. I did kind of try it, but the numbers were off each time. So if you're curious about that, let me know and I will include that in the next one as well. I will figure it out. And I didn't do pan percentages either. I know those are kind of interesting to a point, but I know that they can fluctuate so much depending on the palettes that you bring into your collection or if you're decluttering any. So I don't have any pan percentages, but again, if you're curious about that, let me know down below and I can include it in the next update. But that is all for now, and I thank you guys for watching. I'm really hoping that I can get some good progress over the next couple of months and have some good pans to show you guys. Maybe a couple of these will be finished by then. I'm crossing my fingers for that Mars shade because as much as it's a beautiful shade, I'm just really tired of it and it's just too crumbly, too messy for me, and I would like to get it out. So Hopefully there'll be a couple for the end of March that you guys can see. Stay tuned if you're interested. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you guys all later. Bye.